Welcome to the podcast. It starts with you, with me, Vic O'Farrell. I ask my guests, by understanding their own behaviours and personality style, what impact on their lives, both personally and professionally, has there been? What is it like to live and work with someone of your style? I mean, this is not about labelling people, putting people in boxes, or an excuse for bad behaviour. It's about recognising, understanding and respecting that we're all different. And what impact can you have on others by looking in the mirror? Because it starts with you. So, hello viewers and listeners, and welcome to another episode of It Starts With You with me, Vic O'Farrell. And I am always super excited about my guests, even more super excited because we could just open up. We don't actually know which way we're going to go. We've just said, let's just take the conversation. But I am going to let the gorgeous, beautiful, give her a hug, Dr. Lynda Shaw. Would you like to introduce yourself and what it is that you do for the world, and especially in the world of business and leadership?
Okie dokie. Hello, Vicky. Thank you so much for inviting me. And I hope your wonderful listeners come back after our conversation. I don't want to put anyone off. But okay, here you go. I am a behavioural neuroscientist. My doctorate's about unconscious processing of emotion. I used fMRI scanning equipment. I was in business before. I've owned 3 businesses and I've mashed it all together. And I thought I'd come out of academia and conquer the world and I had answers to everything, and I was seriously wrong. So I then had to rethink completely, and I now talk very much about emotion and unconscious processing. However, what is really, really exciting is that about 15 months ago now, I was looking at my very, very tiny grandchildren, and I was thinking, well, what's the world going to be like when you're my age? And I totally freaked out, to be honest. It really, really upset me. So I thought, and I sat with it, and I sat with it, and I thought, right, okay, Lynda, what does the world need? And yeah, I can recycle everything. I can do all of that stuff. But what does the world actually need? And what it needs is genius ideas. Now, I'm not a genius, but I know how to extract genius ideas out of people, and I know how to help them communicate those ideas for the benefit of all businesses, especially those they work for, and of course, humanity as a whole. Now, it might be big things, it might be small things, but there is so much hidden potential right in every organization, every company, no matter the size. There's so much hidden potential, and it's virtually free. You don't have to pay for anyone coming in. It's there. You just need to know how to talk to people. And as a business leader, that is the future of business. That is where we need to go. We need to look at the hidden potential we have right there and work with it. And yeah, that's me. That's what I'm really, really excited about.
I think you can tell that, listeners and viewers, how passionate our lovely Dr. Lynda is. But you say you're not a genius. Do you not think, and you always say when people say, oh, we only use 10% of our brains. We don't, we use all of it. But do you not think we've all got genius ideas hidden somewhere that with the right person questioning and delving into our brain, it would come out?
Absolutely, 100% right, totally right. Everybody's got genius ideas. When needs must. Look at in history, when things have gone terribly wrong in wars and things like that, the ordinary person stands up and is extraordinary. And we are capable of doing extraordinary things en masse and individually. We are capable of so much more. And you're right, 10% of the brain is utter nonsense. It's what I call neuro nonsense when I'm being polite. So it's not true. We use the whole brain all of the time. So therefore, we've got all that inside. We have the answers right inside us, walking amongst us right now, are genius people. They're not necessarily Einsteins. They're people who've just got that genius idea. They see something and they see an answer. And they might not even bother telling anyone because they think, oh, probably somebody's thought of it already. But maybe not, because it's not being done. You just open up your thinking, open up your mind to be creative. And it's astonishing how amazing human beings can be. And it's right there.
So would you say that the genius ideas are all sat in our subconscious mind? And
Well,
it's Okay, let me ask you another question here so that you can help the listeners understand. What's the difference between our conscious mind and our subconscious mind?
Right, okay. In neuroscience, we use the word unconscious, subconscious mixed up together, okay? It's not a fine line, but that's fine. It's below conscious awareness, and that's what matters. If I said to you, how much of your brain is conscious processing and how much is unconscious processing below conscious awareness? So let's say this sheet of A4 paper is your brain, and a percentage of that is unconscious processing and a percentage is conscious processing. So let's just talk about the conscious processing, what we're consciously aware of. How much of this piece of paper is conscious processing? What do you think, Beck?
A dot in the corner.
That's right. So
I'm just, but for those who are listening and not watching on YouTube, literally Lynda Shaw has an A4 clear white piece of paper, and she has just, with a pen, not a big bold felt tip pen, just a normal ballpoint pen, drawn a little dot in the corner.
yeah, it's a dot. That is our conscious processing. The rest is below conscious awareness. That's an enormous amount of information that we are able to process consciously if we bring our attention to it. So if we have got incredible ideas going on and we're not aware of them, then if we bring our attention to it, we become aware of them, and then we can learn how to talk about it. Even though communicating might not be your thing, we can do that. So, but it's quite strange because people think that what's below conscious awareness is this weird dark stuff that's going on, and it can rear its head and catch you unawares when you're least expecting it. It's not true. It is absolutely not true. And we don't know what's going on below our conscious awareness because it's made up of our experiences, our perceptions, our beliefs, our thoughts. It's made up of everything that's gone on before this very moment, which means that it's unique. Our perception is unique. It's our only personal reality. So therefore, if we have got these experiences, miles and miles and miles of experiences before us, every new experience we evaluate based on our experiences before, and all that will go on below our conscious awareness as well. So there's a lot to work with. And there are ways with working with it. And that is when we find those hidden potentials to become incredible potentials for everybody. And that's what I really love working with.
And I think honestly, and it's about how you ask those questions. But before we get to there, I've just scribbled a note here. So our below conscious brain, that rest of that piece of white A4 paper, is all of the things that's happened to us. Like you say, it's our perception. But how do we tell our brain when our perception is actually fact or opinion? Because that's where things, I feel, come into the conscious mind, and people talk about their perception as if it's actually fact and true, and it's actually just their opinion.
That is a really deep question. What is fact?
2 plus 2 equals 4.
So what is fact? Your people now, your audience are listening to me, and some are hearing me. And everybody, every single person will have a different opinion about me right now. And every single person is correct, even though those opinions are different. When we understand that, we can actually cut people some slack. We can actually enable people to realize that, well, they're thinking different to me, but that's their reality. Okay, they're right. Everybody who's hearing me now and listening and watching me now, you're all right. You're all correct. If you came together as a group after this and you started talking about this call, you may come to a group conclusion. But at the moment, you will be basing your opinion of me on every other Lynda that you've heard before, every other neuroscientist you've heard before, every other female you've heard before, every other anything that you've heard before. You will base that, and that is your truth. That is your reality, your personal reality. So the way, of course, we do that, we get over that, is to first of all understand what perception truly is. Try to keep it in front of mind. It won't happen all the time by any stretch of the imagination, but try to keep it in front of mind. And then you'll be thinking to yourself, well, there's Fred over there who thinks they're absolutely right. And there's Sarah over there who absolutely knows and thinks they're right. And they're completely at loggerheads. Well, if they understand what perception is, they might start to think, well, okay, why are you thinking like that? How have you got to that? And this is where I'm thinking. This is where I've got to, based on my realities and based on my experiences so far. Now, how can we move forward from that? It sounds really logical, but not many people do it, which is where you come in, Vic. It's Queen of Behaviours.
That's where we come in, actually. So it's even little simple things. So I'm not going to talk about, deep and meaningful things like, sport or religion, because that can really divide people. But let's just think about simply someone's name. So by introducing you as Lynda Shaw, like you say, straight away, someone's formed an opinion of you because of your name. Someone might have had a really, really great mentor, teacher, aunt, whoever called Lynda, and they hear that name Lynda and they go, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. Or their below conscious brain is going to go, this person's going to be amazing. But then there could have been someone who's listening that had a teacher called Lynda that really didn't get on with. They had an aunt called Lynda that they really didn't get on with. Or there was a girl at school that bullied them that they really didn't get on with called Lynda. And so their below subconscious brain has already made a decision about you because of your name. You haven't even opened your mouth.
Yeah, totally right. Yeah. So
it's how we get people to not take the filters off, but take my filter off so that I can see your filter.
Yeah, that's a really lovely way of putting it. Take your filters. Filters are, we need filters. Well, first of all, we need filters anyway, because if we're using filters in our behavior and the way we're handling people, we are thinking of the consequences of that communication. If we're not thinking of the consequences of that communication and where we want it to go, then we just go bleh and blurt out, then you're going to ruin absolutely everything. We need the filters to actually have a sensible conversation, which you are absolutely right talking about. I'm really glad you brought it up. And the other thing, a way of looking at it as well, is that we're talking about unconscious biases. So when you're saying somebody is like, they hate Lynda because they know somebody called Lynda who they didn't like, or they do, the unconscious bias is there for a very, very good reason. We can't dismiss it. If we dismissed it, we would literally sit on the floor like a blob sucking our thumb. We wouldn't do anything, okay? Nothing. Why do I say that? Because unconscious bias is a side effect of something called heuristics. And heuristics are shortcuts for the brain. So let's get back to the consciousness of the dot on the bit of white paper. At this very moment, there is a cacophony of stimuli all around us competing for our attention. Our attention is very small, quite rightly so, because the brain can't process things consciously with that amount of information. It needs to actually have this filter. It needs this shortcut. So what we do is we categorize things for speed of assessment. So below our conscious awareness, an animal walks in the room. I'm talking to you. An animal walks into the room. I'm sort of aware of it. I make glance of it. And I unconsciously think, it's a small tail. It's a small animal. It's got a tail. It's got 4 legs. It's got whiskers. It's got ears. It's a dog. Okay. Filed, not thought about, gone. The thing is, I have probably categorized that animal walking in the room as a dog because I was brought up with dogs and I love dogs. It could be a cat. It could even be a fox that's just walked in to get to the rubbish bin. You don't know. So therefore, this heuristics is really vital for us to process as much information as possible at any one time. We put things in our categorization in our brains in this heuristic method that we have so that we are fast and efficient and effective. The brain will always try to be fast, efficient and effective. The side effect of heuristics is we make mistakes. And we make mistakes by categorizing things incorrectly. So, for instance, I might be on public transport, maybe the London Underground at midnight, Then I'm in an empty carriage. Somebody walks on the carriage into the carriage who's got his hood up, is a male, and they're big and they are crouched over. And I'm thinking, oh, I think I need to get off at the next stop. I'm not comfortable at all. This poor person might just come back out from hospital, having done a medical shift for 14 hours, and they're cold, tired, and hungry, and wanting their bed. But my heuristics, my survival mechanism will make me that person I've categorized as being danger. My survival instincts mean that's very important to me, obviously. So now I move off the carriage, but I was completely wrong. So unconscious bias is something that we need to consider a lot and keep it front of mind, or try to keep it front of mind for the important decisions, because it's not just about categorizing human beings because they have an accent, because they have they might be gay, they might be whatever. It's not about that necessarily. It's also on a smaller level about really important decisions that you're making, sometimes on a daily basis. So you have confirmation bias, which is one of the most common that we use all the time. It could be that I've decided there are more green cars on the road than any other colour. So now I'm only noticing the green cars and ignoring all the other cars. So I've now got really rubbish data to make an opinion on. And make a decision on. So therefore, we need to be aware of our biases, and we need to keep them in front of mind when it's important, because it's impossible to keep it in front of mind all the time because it's below conscious awareness. And that's the key. It's unconscious. So it's notoriously difficult to handle, but we can handle it when it's necessary.
No, and that is absolutely the key. It's actually being aware of things, just being aware of our behaviors, our reactions. Because, you're talking, where you talk there, it's the fight or flight that, humankind was built into us. Is it going to eat me, or am I going to eat it? Is kind of as basic as I go, because I'm not a neuroscientist, although I have done your program and it was fascinating. But it's more about, if I think of the Aristotle's quote, isn't it? Every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. So when you talk about even just you there on the tube, your subconscious has thingy, so that action has had an equal and opposite reaction. It's made you get up, it's made you get off. It's not made you stop and think, are you okay? And ask this person, has he been on a night shift? To see actually if they need help and support. So how can we bring to the conscious mind the impacts we're having? Because we talk about wanting to unlock the geniuses. So how do we talk to them, or how do we talk to other people in a way that creates debate, because we need debate, but by giving the geniuses, I'll call them geniuses, the psychological safety that they can actually open up and talk to us without being attacked and shut down?
You've got to come at it in a few ways. I mean, shutting people down is something that we do almost automatically. But the thing is, I think we need to, first of all, put people in some kind of a safety zone whereby you have a discussion, a debate about whatever is coming into your mind, whatever, if you're thinking it's a benefit for one another, a benefit for our customers, a benefit for our clients, a benefit to make sure that we are making more profit than we did last year because that's looking a bit shaky, a benefit for us as a group of people working for this organization. If you come together in agreement that you are going to listen with respect, and understanding, like asking questions to really understand and not put down, that's a good step to take from that way. The other way is for the individual to actually take a breath. Don't allow your emotions to hijack your prefrontal cortex. Don't allow it to happen. The only way you can stop that, clearly you're going to have to. Sometimes, the amygdala is going to jump to attention when there's something that's fearful happening or something you need to get out of trouble. Yeah, sure, great. But when you're in a business environment, when you are a manager or a boss or a leader of a group of people, and when you are a part of that group of people, especially senior board level, then it's time to actually just wait a moment. Just stop. If you think you feel yourself rise because that person, last time you spoke to them, they said exactly the same thing, and the time before that, and the time before that, and the time before that, and they really hack you off, you've got to don't buy into it. Pick up that cup of tea, that cup of coffee. Just take a sip of it. Just a glass of water, whatever it is, just take a sip.
Reflect.
Put it down and just stop. Just stop. By the way, those listening, I took a sip of my chamomile tea. But yeah, calming, it's calming. Although you wouldn't think so, the way I'm going. So anyway, basically, we need to, and not, again, it's a filter. If we know ourselves, we know when our buttons are pressed, and we know that it's not helpful because there are consequences when we press those buttons, or those buttons are pressed, and those consequences are not favourable for anybody, then learn from it. Take a breath. The work of Professor Lisa Feldman Barrett is quite interesting in the world of neuroscience, because she has shaken up the world of neuroscience and emotion somewhat. She stood on the shoulders of other eminent neuroscientists, and at the moment what the consensus is, although we can't ignore previous research, the consensus is that we have emotions to make sense of something. It is not that we are emotional and it's messing us up. We are feeling an emotion to make sense of a situation that we find ourselves in. If that is the case, then it's a tool. And as a tool, we can learn to use it better. And so therefore, we need to, if we are feeling an emotion that could actually scupper the conversation completely, we need to realize that and go, hang on a minute, take a breath, and let's ask a few more questions here to qualify understanding. Let's really listen to what everyone's got to say. So there are things that we can do. Knowing ourselves, honestly, self-awareness has got to be the most important skill there is in leadership, right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, so we really need, if you want to be a good boss, if you want to be a good boss, I repeat, then you've got to work on it. And you've got to work on it by working on yourself and working out, where are your strengths? Where are your weaknesses? When is it that you rise? And when is it you need to breathe and just be quiet for a moment? When is it you need to deflect? When is it, and you can learn so much from watching a 2-year-old. Yeah. Handling a 2-year-old, they teach you so much, and they keep things front of mind about human behavior. They're brilliant teachers. Just watch a 2-year-old. And that's how we actually all are still. I often say to my clients, what is the one emotion that everybody on this planet wants to feel? And they come up with love, they come up with kindness, they come up with things that they think about it. But no, the word is significant. People want to feel significant. If you've got a 2-year-old and you're at your laptop or you're at your desk and you're trying to send an email and you've got this 2-year-old going, mummy, 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 daddy, 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 person, whoever, and they're shaking your trouser leg or you're shaking the skirt, and you're going, oh, just a minute, just let me press send, just a minute. If you just stop and bend down to that child and say, what is it? And they tell you, they go and run off and play. What is it that an elderly person says so often? They say, I feel invisible, right? So if they're feeling invisible, they're not feeling significant. They're feeling their contribution is not valuable or valid. If you can help, this is for everybody. It doesn't matter whether you're 2 or 102. It's for everybody. So if you as a leader are helping your people feel significant and heard, you will have very different conversations and their biases will not be quite so obvious.
Powerful stuff, Lynda. I sometimes talk to my clients about, so Lynda and I both wear glasses, although I don't have mine on this moment. when you sit, if anyone's ever had an eye test, when you sit there and they ask you what letters you can read, you'll always be able to read certain numbers of letters, and then you'll get to a certain level and you can't read that. So they put on the special pair of glasses, and then they put in a lens, and then they put in another lens, and oh, suddenly, with the help of someone else's lens or another lens, I can read more clearly. And the more lenses that you put in, the further down you can read, the clearer all the letters become. So if you are the person that goes, I have a vision, but actually with a lot more lenses in front of me, we can make this even clearer for everyone. How powerful would that be?
That's a beautiful analogy. I love that. Yeah.
You may use that as well, Lynda. It's not you.
You say that, Vicky.
But it is that, isn't it? It's like you can talk about very, very highly, the engaged, the quiet quitting and the loud quitters, but you have a responsibility, whether you employ one person or 100,000 people, you have a responsibility to your team to allow them to grow, to do their job, to feel safe. And I just feel that the current world is not doing that. And there's so much coming in to our below conscious brain that we're triggering and making decisions without breathing, having a sip of our chamomile tea, or reflecting. We're doing things too much of a reaction of a speed.
Yeah.
How can we how can we not stop it? We can't stop the world. The world is forming. But how can we, without going like really deep in the next 5 minutes, how can we make people realize the impact that the world around them is having on them as leaders?
Oh dear. Now that's interesting. Well, I've already noticed it myself in that people seem to be they seem to be more reactive, looking at certain global leaders in the current climate. And they seem to be it's almost as if it's like, again, go back to children. We are looking at highly senior, powerful people behave so abysmally badly but they're succeeding. It almost gives us permission to have our dark side raise its head. And because we all do have a dark side, we all do have all of these behaviors that we either like or dislike. We all are capable of them, every one of us. But as decent human beings, we try only to use decent behavior. But when you're looking at the senior people, it might not even be on the global stage. It might be people actually in your own country who are you working. It might be somebody who's your CEO. It might be, I don't know who it might be. It might be the head of a school. If they're seeing that, if we are watching their bad behavior being rewarded, then it stops us. It almost thinks, well, if they can do it, so can I. That attitude, which is please don't, please be aware of it. Awareness has got to be it. Again, that self-awareness. Do not lower your standards to emulate other people's lower standards. Rise above it. Raise the bar. Absolutely be proud of who you are. Raise that bar. Don't allow any of that external influencers to influence you to the negative.
Thank you. That is, yeah, if we, I feel like I want to make sure this podcast is listened to by everybody. I might send it to certain world leaders, perhaps. But I think that's actually a great place to bring this conversation to a stop. There is so much more. We could go very deep into conversations, I know, because we have done previously, but just talking to each other. One kind of poignant thing that you would like to leave our listeners or viewers with, Lynda?
Okay, the poignant thing I think is for me the most important is that bad things happen, serious things happen to us. We are in a constant flux of change, a constant flux of uncertainty. By the way, I've got strong views on the difference between change and uncertainty and the differences in the brain, but I'll hold that one for our next time, perhaps. But the thing is, what we can't fix everything, and if we allow all of these big issues to tumble down on us too hard, we won't function properly. We won't be no good to anyone. So my comment is this: lighten up, have fun, because you don't have to take you don't have what you do might be serious, but you don't have to take yourself seriously. And I try very hard to remember that. So lighten up, have fun, be kind to people, enjoy this precious life we've got. And that's my answer.
We only have one lap of this thing called life, and you are in the driving seat. If you're not happy, indicate, change lanes. It's my life's motto. Lynda, it's been wonderful having you as a guest on the podcast. For those wanting to find out more about Lynda, in the show notes are all of Lynda's contact details where you can find her on social media and the link to her amazing book, Your Brain is Boss. Lynda, thank you.
It's been my absolute pleasure, Vicky. Thank you.
How has this conversation had an impact on you? What have you learnt? What will you do differently? Do leave a review on Apple or Spotify on It Starts With You podcast. And also leave a comment down below. Do also then connect with me on social media. I'm on Instagram, Facebook and LinkedIn. And why not even join the Facebook group It Starts With You and keep the learning ongoing. Thank you for listening.